there's something else at stake: democracy itself. I'm not the only one who sees it. Recent polls have shown that overwhelming majority of Americans believe our democracy is at risk, that our democracy is under threat. They too see that democracy is on the ballot this year, and they're deeply concerned about it.
Well, that was President Biden speaking on Wednesday night in his last-ditch effort to convince voters that Republicans are a threat to democracy, despite Democrats in Washington, D.C. right now on the verge of giving non-citizens the right to vote in local elections. And President Biden using his FBI and DOJ as weapons against his political enemies. Well, the Democrats say they want to pack the Supreme Court, among other moves against the U.S. Constitution and U.S. democracy. With the poll set to open in less than 48 hours, Republicans are making their final pitch to voters, focusing on the economy, crime, and the threat of communist China, among other issues affecting American families. In Georgia's Senate race, Republican challenger Herschel Walker has a 2-point lead over Democrat incumbent Raphael Warnock, with inflation topping voters' concerns there. Joining us right now to talk more about that is the man himself, Herschel Walker. Herschel, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me on.
How are you feeling now, 48 hours away?
Well, I feel pretty good. You know, when you have a president talking about the biggest threat to democracy is seen to be electing a Republican, but I want everyone out there that's listening to me, the biggest threat to democracy is to have him at the White House. And the biggest threat to democracy is to have someone like Senator Warnock to vote against our Keystone Pipeline, which put us in an international threat. I think right now that's a threat, and that's a security threat with going to our enemies to ask for energy. That's a threat. That's a biggest threat to democracy there. And also putting men and women's sports, which he voted for that. The biggest threat to democracy is to have the people, the Democrats right now, leading this country because they seem to be taking this country in the wrong direction. And I think America sees that and they know that.
And, you know, Herschel, the threats to democracy is just really one of the many attacks against you and other Republicans. But specifically you, I want to get your take on what you think about some of these slurs that have come your way. We ran a soundbite of President Obama attacking you earlier in the program. But beyond that, there's been people calling you Republican puppet, disgrace to black people. I mean, they're using your race against you, despite the fact that you've got two black men competing against one another in Georgia. How do you feel about all these slurs and these attacks?
Well, first of all, running for this seat is much bigger than name calling and much bigger than Herschel Walker. And the biggest threat to me right now to have Senator Warnock to represent the great people of Georgia because he's a fake. He's an actor, and right now he went to Washington and said that he was going to represent the people, and yet he voted with Joe Biden 96% of the time, which is the reason we have this high inflation, which is the reason we have an open border, which is the reason we have crime in the streets. The biggest threat to me is to have someone like that representing Georgia, and I say I'm not going to stand for it. Right now he's called our men and women in blue thugs and bullies. They bringing pronouns into our military, but yet they're saying it's the Republicans' fault. But I want everyone that's going out to vote this coming Tuesday to remember that this has happened in less than 2 short years. This is what they've done to this country. We can't give them any more time because they will totally destroy this country, destroy the state you live in, and they don't seem to care. They don't seem to care because the reason why is if they care, they'll be coming up with solutions. If they care, they'll be talking about it. They're not talking about it. They're going to something else to try to throw you off track. Well, it's not going to happen on my watch. I'm much better than that. When I got into this race, I got into it because of my faith, and I'm not giving up.
Yeah, I want to get your take on the issues at hand, but how would you answer President Obama? He's saying he was great running back, he was the best on the field, but he shouldn't be the guy to represent you. You've obviously been resonating with the people. What's your answer to Obama?
Well, my answer to Obama is he got it wrong when he told us to vote for Joe Biden. He got that wrong, didn't he? And where has he been all this time? He's been in his nice mansion doing whatever he was doing, and now he's coming down telling us to vote for Senator Warnock, where Senator Warnock is shown, as I said, he's a fake. He's a wolf in sheath clothing. He's done nothing for the people except evict them. I don't know if you talked about that. He's evicting poor people from their home, like for $28. And he says, don't sully the name of Dr. King. Dr. King got nothing to do with this. It is you who's doing that. The apartments that he's in are disgusting. They're filthy. People are dying in these apartments, and he's doing nothing but talking about Herschel is not prepared. Well, I hope you during that debate, people saw who was the adult in the room. He wouldn't even answer a question, and he's the sitting senator. He's the one that should know the answer to the question, but he didn't want to answer because he know now that he had the guy that should be representing Georgia, and that's Herschel Walker. That's the reason I'm here.
So you're talking about the apartment that Raphael Warnock owns and the conditions in that apartment.
It's the church owns them, and his name is at the top of the list. And that's what he continued to say. And I told people this. I put my business experience against his business experience any day because I built my business. Oh, yeah, he don't have a business. All he ever done is lived off to his parishioners, and he lived off the federal government. He lived off the government. He's never built anything. Well, I've signed the front of a paycheck. He's never done that. So I have done those things. They talk about my athletic career. Let's talk about my business experience. They don't mention that because I've been very, very successful in the business world. I've been doing a lot. I've been to over 400 bases to remove the stigma of mental health. This is what I do. I want to help people, and I'm not going to sit back and let someone like Senator Warnock and let someone like former President Obama or let someone like President Biden destroy Georgia or destroy this country, because this country means a whole lot more to me than anything. And I said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what I can do for my country. What I can do for my country is get Senator Warnock out of office, get Joe Biden out of office, get President Obama to go back to his $1 million home and sit there and enjoy the freedoms and liberties that America gives him.
Herschel, what will be your priority should you win this race? Tell me where your interests are in terms of what you think you can take on. Economic issues, clearly the #1 issue for voters. What are you going to do about it, and what are your priorities?
Well, I think one of my top priorities, I want to get our energy independence back. I think that is the start of everything. By getting your energy independence back, you're going to create jobs, which you're going to get this economy started. You got to get this economy started, getting money back into the economy, not just continue to spend. It is okay for them to continue to spend money, but you got to bring money in. And then we're putting ourselves in a national security problem. They've given up a lot of our strategic reserves. That is a national security problem, and we got to continue to protect this country. That is the biggest threat to democracy, is to have people that don't protect America.
Well, the amount of oil in that strategic petroleum reserve, now the lowest level since 1984. You make a great point. Herschel, it's good to have you this morning. We so appreciate it, and we'll be watching on Tuesday. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you, and God bless you. And everyone go to teamherschel.com. Let's get them out of this seat and get every Democrat out of their seat, get Republicans in that believes in America.
Herschel Walker, we'll see you soon. Thank you, sir.